Okay, good Erev Shabbos to everybody. We ended yesterday on a note that I wanted to explain. I just found the Tosfos. I found my Gemara. I hadn't used my Gemara. We spoke about the maybe the Havlamina and Rav Shimon, that Rav Shimon Gamliel, that you would go ahead and not, in other words, you wouldn't go ahead and sell the thing totally. You would sell it partially. In other words, you would downgrade. We spoke about going from a Simmons mattress to a straw mattress. So what about the machresha? The Gemara said, how do you downgrade a machresha? Bishnei makar v'keses, but a machresha. So it said a machreshes of silver. So you ask yourself, who in the world is going to use a plow made of silver? It made no sense whatsoever, right? You don't make a plow out of silver. So if you look at Tosfos on Kuf Yud, on Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Aleph, it's on the Amid Aleph. 4 lines from the bottom, Niril Rabbeinu Tam, the Hainu Margadosa, Shemigarden by Bnei Yodam Beves HaMerchatz. It's some type of comb or some type of utensil that we used to scratch the skin in the Beis HaMerchatz. So L'chara, it was used something for the skin. So machresha, you view it as a plow that goes ahead and makes furrows. It seems to make more sense. It was a silver type of tool that was used to go ahead and scratch a person, itch a person, scratch a person, whatever you want to call it, in the Beis HaMerchatz. So that would answer that question that wasn't asked, but it was bothering me. So now we're up to daf. Today's daf is Maskevler of Chaga. So the whole sugya is speaking about that the Baal Chov, you have to go ahead and give him the mashkin and take care of him. Now, this guy, he can't pay his loan. So what are you doing? What are you giving back a mashkin, not a mashkin? In other words, you make your bed, you lie in it, right? You make your bed and lie in it. Maskif lo Rav Chaga, the last line on Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis, right? Now it says, you go ahead and said you misade b'Baal Chayv. What does misade b'Baal Chayv mean? You go ahead and evaluate his property to go ahead and take the most minimal amount. In other words, to ensure that he's in good shape, right? We want to ensure that he's in good shape. So therefore, we're misajrin l'Baal Chayv. We said misajrin means to estimate, evaluate, take this, and the more expensive you'll sell, and this you'll go ahead and buy. So maskal l'rochava v'leimalei, let the v'leimalei say to the loiva, lavo like haramis, I don't have to take care of you. Adrabba, you're messing me up. You're not paying me back. Now I have to go ahead and take care of you by going ahead and assessing things. I have to go back and take care of you, and just pay me up, and then deal with it. So Amalei Abaya, Amid Aleph says Abaya, Ibra. No, it's true. Alei karamis. It is upon you to go ahead and return the mashkin and take care of him. Because what does the pasuk say? Shenemar ulecha tiyet tzedakah. Again, the whole pasuk, the Devarim Chavdala Yud Gimel, Hashev Teshiva Lo Yesa Ovid, Kibo HaShemesh, as the sun sets, return to him his mashkin, V'shacha b'salmasoi, he'll lie down in his garment, Ubeirachecha, and bless you, Ulecha tiyet tzedakah l'fnei Hashem Elokecha, and to you it'll be an act of tzedakah. Every person is mitzvah in tzedakah. So the Gemara's question is a moot point. Ein achinami. You are mitzvah to go ahead, and take care of this fellow. You are mitzvah to go ahead, man, and take care of this fellow. Yehuda, why are you texting me in this middle of the share? Oh, okay. It's a Yehuda.
He found the thing. He found the implement.
Yehuda gives this to us. I'm sure this will make it to the blog. It seems weird enough. It's called a striggle. A striggle, and that's an English word. Which consists of a curved scoop with a handle, was a tool used in the baths of cleaning an individual's bodies. Oil would be applied to a person's skin, removed with dirt or sweat, using the curved scoop of a striggle. Okay, Yehuda, thank you. My life is now complete, because I didn't know until now what a striggle was, and now I know what a striggle is. What is a striggle for 200, right? Okay, anyway, very good. Says the Gemara, Iboyalahu, Fred the Gemara Kasha, Mausha Yisadruloi b'Baal Chayv. What's the din of being Misada Baal Chayv, making this estimation? Now it's a kind of funny kind of question. We just saw it was a machlokes. We just saw it was a machlokes yesterday. Whether we said you're Misada for Erchin, right? If the person says Erki Alai, then you go ahead and evaluate and leave him something. And the question was whether you learn Baal Chof from Erchin. So what's the Gemara asking now? I shouldn't do this with my arm. What's the Gemara asking now? What's the din of being misader with a Baal Chof? So the Ran says we want to know who the halacha is like. The Ran says we want to know exactly who the halacha is like the one who says misader or not. Says the Gemara. Mi gamar micha micha me erchin. Do we learn out micha micha from erchin? It says v'chiyamacha chicha umata yada imach. He gets poor, and by erchin it says v'machu me erkecha. So we have a gezer shava mach mach or micha micha, and we'll, just like erchin we're misader, so too by what balchov will be misader. Allah you or not, or you don't have Messiah on that gezer shava. Tashma the shalach ravin the igrisa. This sentence in a message, in a letter. No one said anything to me. Bram here was the shaila. It wasn't a shaila of Balchoiv, it was a shaila of Hegdish. A person says it's upon me to give 100 zuz to the base of Migdash. If he owes the 100, do we take it outright, or misader and go ahead and do we? If he can't pay, he can't pay and wait till he pays, or no, we'll be misader and evaluate his property. Do you learn out Hegdish American? So according to the way Ravina heard the Shaila, he didn't hear it by Balchov, he heard it by Hegdish. Can we learn Hegdish from Erchin? Just like Erchin and misader, so too by Hegdish. So that's not Akasha, but this is what Rav Oven commented on the Shaila. So Rav Yaakov Mishmei de Bar Pada, Rav Yomi Mishmei de Ilfa Amri, Kal v'choyim in Balchoiv. We learn out of Kal v'choyim in Balchoiv. Uma Balchoiv shemachzirin, that you return the choiv, the mashkid is returned to him. And now we can answer the shaila guys. And ein misadrin. So in the context of the shaila of Hegdish, we'll be able to ascertain the teretz of Balchoiv, right? He's saying, you want to know that by Hegdish were we misader or not? We see by Balchov you're not misader. So Agav will be able to answer the kasha. Now, why in Balchov you take a mashkin and you return the mashkin, right? The mitzvah that we're going through every night. You return it by day by night. We'll see later on. Hegdish she'ei machzirin, Hegdish where you're not. If you take a misadrin, there's nothing. If you don't go ahead, right? And machzirin, you don't go ahead back and return any mashkin by Hegdish. Einoidin shein misadrin. So again, we're not by Balchoiv. We're so lenient. Our leniency extends to the fact we return the mashkin, but we don't extend the leniency to misadrin. So Hegdish, where we don't return the mashkin, einoidin that we don't have the leniency of misadrin. Okay, that was Rav Yaakov in the name of Bar Parda, in the name of Rav Yomi, in the name of Ilfa. Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Rabbi Yochanan says, and the pasuk says, Neda be'erkecha. Rashi brings the pasuk. I thought Rashi brought the pasuk. Kiyafli neda be'erkecha. When you express a neda be'erkecha, nefashais. Now, fellas, a neder means Hegdish. You make a neder to Hegdish. Erkecha means, he said, the lashon of erki alai. Neder, it depends. Erki is a set price, depend upon your age. So good. So now we're going to make a hekish between the word neder, which is act of Hegdish, and erkecha, which is act of erchin. Ma erchin misadrin, af Hegdish misadrin. So we have from the Ilfa, we see that a misadrin, because we compare it to Balchoiv. Rabbi Yochanan does not discuss Balchoiv, but he says that what? Just like Erchin, you misader, you're going directly to Hegdish. So according to Ilfa, Hegdish, a misadrin. According to Rabbi Yochanan, misadrin. Vis-a-vis Balchoiv, we have Ilfa saying through the Kal v'choyim a misadrin, and Rabbi Yochanan not addressing it at all. V'idach, Ilfa, what does he do? Excuse me, right? V'idach, the hekish. What's the hekish? If you're telling me that Hegdish, you're not misader, what does the hekish to Erchin accomplish? What does the hekish to Hegdish accomplish? It comes to benidin b'chvoidoi hu asa. Ma erchin nidun b'chvoidoi, av hegdish nidun b'chvoidoi. So now, Rashi tells us that if a person goes ahead and says, the erchin of my head is to the Beis HaMikdash, the erchin of my liver is to the Beis HaMikdash, the erchin of my heart is to the Beis HaMikdash, then he has to give full value, because these are nefesh that the neshama is tali by. Mashenken, if you say the erchin of my hand, the erchin of my foot, it's not something that's tali by. So by hegdish, you would have to, so in other words, the inyan, if a person was magdish's head, he'd have to give his whole value, just like erchin. If a person is magdish, it says erchin by his arm, there's again, the comparison between hegdish and erchin is only vis-a-vis the whole, a limb that the body is dependent upon. If it's not a limb the body depends upon, you don't have the hekesh. Why? Because erchin, it says the word nefashos, so it has to be a part that's totally in the nefesh. Whereas hegdish, a person's magdish's arm, we can go to the slave market and see how much would a person pay for a slave with an arm or without an arm. So vis-a-vis hegdish and erchin, there's an afkamina if it's an evish neshama tuliyabay. But if it's a nefesh that a neshama tuliyabay, that's the limud from, just like erchin, nefashos. So to hegdish, you'd have to give the whole thing. That's what he uses the hekesh for, but not to tell me that you'd be misader by hegdish, because he holds you won't be misader by hegdish. Now, like this man the Amar, what about Rabbi Yochanan? What about Bal Choiv? Yisadru Bal Choiv kal v'choyim me'erchen. We should learn out. This is the Gemara speaking. We should learn out what a Bal Choiv kal v'choyim me'erchen. Uma erchen she'ei machzirin. You don't get it back. Misadrin. Bal Choiv she'machzirin eino din she'misadrin. So is it not then that you should be misader? Or makra, the pasuk says v'machu me'achercha. And it says, who me'akercha, who, dafka, the person who says erchen olai and doesn't have the money to pay, v'loy b'choiv. So we have a miyat, fellas. Even though we have a kal v'choimer that says you should be misader b'al choiv, we have a miyat that you're not. Now, what about the man that says you are misader b'al choiv? Why does he learn the miyat of who from? V'idach, hayache b'machusoi, he have to be in his state of poverty, right? And then go ahead and learn mitchas v'tzayf. In other words, let's say a person was poor and he couldn't afford it, and Bezdin went ahead and the kahana, whatever, they made an evaluation, X amount of money, and then he gets wealthy, then that evaluation's off. He has to give wealthy. Then machu, what does machu mean? He has to be in that state of machus, it's poverty from the beginning to the end in order to get the waiver. Once he gives up, it's usher, that's off. That's what we learned that from. Fred the Gemara, let's learn that a mashkin of hegdish you return b'kal b'chaymer. Mibal choiv. Uma bal choiv she'ein misadrin. Machzirin, bal choiv, that we're not misader. You are machzirin, you return the mashkin. Hegdish, that what? I'm saying share, Zevi. I'm saying share. Okay. Uma bal choiv she'ein misadrin machzirin. Hegdish misadrin ain't adin shemachzirin. On Makra, the pasuk says, "This shachav b'salmaso." He'll lie down b'salmaso in his garment, right? He'll lie down in his garment. Uberachecha, and he'll be l'fnei Hashem l'kecha. Uberachecha u'lachoti et tzedakah l'fnei Hashem. So yotze hegdish ain't sarach bracha. In other words, a person, a bal choiv, he returns his object because he needs a bracha. Hashem is hegdish. Hashem doesn't need your bracha. So Mamela, the idea we have a kal v'chomer that you should return a mashkin by hegdish, but the returning the mashkin is for the purpose of getting a blessing. Hashem doesn't need your blessing. Hashem doesn't need blessing. It says v'achalta, and you'll eat v'savata, and you'll be satiated. And you will bless Hashem. So you see, Hashem does need your bracha. Comes to mind when the Rabbi Shmuel, the Gemara in brachas, fellas, when Rabbi Shmuel the Kohen Gadol went in to the Kachik Gadashim and Hashem asked for a bracha. No, Okay, I'm not going to sing. Anyway, Ella what? Ella amakra ulachoti et tzedakah. So therefore, that can't be the pasuk that tells me that what? That you're not misogyn to that you don't return hegdish. Ulachoti et tzedakah mishet tzarich tzedakah yatsa hegdish ain't tzarich tzedakah. Okay, so if you take a look, it says the pasuk is Hashev tashiv loy es ha'avid kivar hashemesh v'shachav b'salmasai ube rachecha ulechati et tzedakah. So you return the mashkin, and to you will be an act of tzedakah. Hashem is the whole makar of tzedakah. The mela, the kal v'chomer, is a good kal v'chomer that you should go ahead and return the mashkin. We have a miyut tzedakah who needs tzedakah that you return the mashkin to, not a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now the halacha is we pass like Rabbi Yochanan that we're masajin for a bal chayv, right? That you masada for a bal chayv. Now I'll give you two types of bal chayv: a bal chayv from a halva or a bal chayv a masul matan. You did a business transaction and it didn't work out. So this whole Gemara is based upon halva. So I have written over here, Ayin Igris Moshe Choshin Mishpat Simet Sadik Zayin, that when we say Misajin Bal Choiv is rak if it's a Bal Choiv Al Yidei Halva, if it came as a result of a halva, but if it came as a result of a business transaction, then you're not Misajin. Then you just take the money, and you take the money. It's a mitzvah, I guess, to give halva in kesev tal desami, but masu mata maybe, which again is business. You're making money is not necessarily what. Even though you owed, says of Moshe, he makes the chilik between Misajin, between what? Between the halva and masa umata. Very geschmack. Actually, and a very interesting Gemara, guys. Ashche Rabba bar Avua the Eliyahu. Rabba bar Avua found Eliyahu. The koi bebeis hakvar shalev b'kichavim. He was standing in a Goyish cemetery. So Amalei, so Rabba bar Avua, he took an opportunity and he said, Maushi Sadru b'balchayv. What's the din? So Amalei said, Rabbi Eliyahu, Gomar Micha Me'erchin. We learn on Mach from Erchin, and just like Erchin with Misader, so too by Balchov with Misader as well. Gabi Erchin Ksiv Machu Me'erkecha, Gabi Balchov Ksiv V'chiyamach Achicha Amid Beis. So therefore, he's Paisha the Shaila from Eliyahu. Minayin la'orim shlo yitroim. How do you know that an orim, a person that is without clothing, that he should not go ahead and be mafresh truma? Now we're speaking about dibur, making a bracha. So when you make a bracha, you should not be in a state of undress. And since you make a bracha before you mafresh rad truma sumaisa, therefore you can't go ahead and be mafresh when you're in a state of undress. So Amalei said Rabba bar Avua to Eliyahu, Lav kayin humar, my time of kamar b'beis hakvaris. Aren't you Pinchas? Aren't you Eliyahu? Aren't you Pinchas? Rashi, Lav kayin mar, the iklam adiyama de Eliyahu Pinchas, tichsiv bei kina kinasi. In Malachim it says that kina kinasi. In Malachim yutes, v'chein b'Pinchas b'kina kinas kanasi. So we have Gzeir Shava that he was a kayin. So if he's a kohen, what's he doing in the Beis HaKfaris? What's Eliyahu is a kohen doing in the Beis HaKfaris? So Amalei, so Rabbi bar Avua said to Eliyahu, Eliyahu said to Rabbi bar Avua, who asked him the Shaila, he asked him the Shaila, what do you do in the Beis HaKfaris? So Eliyahu was shocked that the great Rabbi bar Avua did not learn Tyrus. Because what does it say in Tyrus, the Tanya? It says in Tyrus, Rav Shimon Yochai Omer, Kivreim shaloy b'kechavim, ein mithamoyin. The kevra of kechavim, they're not mitama, b'tumas oil. Shnemar, the ate, let me get the pasuk correct. The atein soini, soin marisi, adam atem, ani Hashem lokechem, no Hashem alekim. So we're called Saini, we're called Adam, Atem Kruya Adam, Beinoy V'Kechavim Kruya Adam. And Rashi says, Adam Ki Yamis Ba'ayol. The whole parsha of Tumas Oil is, we use the lesson of Adam. And a Jew who is called Adam, is subject to Adam Ki Yamis Ba'ayol. but a guy who's not is not. So Amarle, so Rabbi Baravu tell Eliyahu, be arba loimat saninon, right? I'm not expected to even know 4. I'm not expected to know moye nizikim noshim and kachim, b'shisha metzina, and you expect me to know what? It's royim that's not noigeya in Bavel and tuma that's only bisman abayis. So how do you expect me to know that? So Amalei, so Eliyahu told Rabbi Baravua that why aren't you supposed to know all 6 sidarim? So Amalei, so Rabbi Baravua told Eliyahu the chikili milsa. I'm very poor, right? I'm very, very poor, and I don't have time to learn. I have to work, and I'm not making enough money to get by. So therefore, I didn't know this halacha. So Dabri, so Eliyahu went ahead and took him. V'ayla Gan Eden. He took Rabbi Baravua up to Gan Eden. Again, we have different places in Shas with different people. Shur ben Levi, Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, certain people who was Zoicha for a certain Izgalas Hashchina of, okay, anyway. Amalei, so Eliyahu told Rabbi Baravua, Pashat Glimech, go ahead, take off your garment, and Safei, and collect Shakal Mahani Tarpe, take from these leaves. Safa Shakal, he went ahead, he took these leaves in Gan Eden, and Ki Havi Nafik, and as he was leaving, Shama de Kamar, Man Ka'achal Alma, Karab Baravua, who is eating up his Olam Haba like Rabbi Baravua? Comes to mind the famous Maisa with Chanina ben Daisa, who was so poor he davened, and they gave him a golden leg from a table. And what happened is he saw in a dream that his wife saw in a dream, you're going to have a table with 2 legs or 3 legs instead of 4 legs, and they davened and they took it back. They said the ness of taking it back was greater than the ness of giving it. So in other words, if a person does not want, a Jew lives in this world, no matter what's going on, we know it's not the oilam de kushta, it's not the true world. And schar mitzvah by alma leka, there's no schar for mitzvah in this world. So we want to keep whatever schar we want to keep, we want to keep it for the next world. So he heard he was taking these leaves from the next world. Again, obviously this is all in Derech Remez, and he was taking these leaves from the next world, and he was going to be rich now, I guess. Those leaves must be priceless, as we'll see in a second. And he hears his call go out. Who's taking his Olam Haba in this world? Who's taking his Olam Haba in this world? So what did he do? So Nafitz Shadine, when he took him, he threw him out. He threw them back into Olam Haba, in Olam Gan Eden. And I feel hachi, nonetheless, I say leglime sochet glime recha. So he went ahead, his clothing absorbed the smell of these leaves, and Savne betrays Alfi Dinre, he was able to go ahead and sell it for 12,000 Dinre of Kesef, I assume, and Palginu Lechas Benuse, and he went ahead and divided it up for his support his son-in-laws in learning. So a famous Gemara, a very well-known Gemara, but I'd like to focus on one aspect of who exactly the identity of Eliyahu. Mashma from this Gemara, Eliyahu descended from the Levium, from Aaron, right? From Pinchas. He was Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKayin. So he descended from there. If you look at Tosfos, towards the end of Tosfos, Tosfos says the big Tosfos on the page. So go up. It says the Tanya. It says Omar Minayin. Above Minayin, go up a few words. Leah says Bogod, right? Bogod is a lashon of fortune. Nechku Rebbe Nuroi Omar Delio mi God. Elio came from God. Rebbe Eliezer Omar Mishal Binyamin. He came from Binyamin. V'Omar lefneim v'Omar lehem Rabbi Sai Loma atem neflokim alai. Ani b'nei b'neha shel Rachel. Elio himself said, I come from Rachel. So exactly who Elio was is a subject of dispute. The Gemara from here, Mashma Mir, is Pinchas. We have other places that say that Wadi was from God, and other places he says Wadi was from Binyamin. Now I'll share with you a fascinating medrash. I'll share with you a Geshmak and medrash I had written on the side of my Gemara. So guys, in the Birchas of Yaakov Avinu, he's looking at Dun. He's looking at Dun, and he's seeing Dun. He's seeing Shimshon. He sees Shimshon, and Yaakov is this Nava. Exactly what happened to Shimshon. He sees Shimshon killing the Plishtim. He decides that Shimshon must be the Mashiach. He must be Mashiach because he's single-handedly taking care of this nation that's been a sore for us forever. And what does he do? He goes ahead and he falls down. He gets into Delilah, and he sees Shimshon dies. So Yaakov Avinu groans and says, "Liyeshuascha kivisi Hashem." To your Yeshua, I'm hoping Hashem. That's what it says in Parshas Vayechi. And then it says, God gedud yugedenu. Ube medrash. Who yogud okev. Okay, who yogud okev. He'll go back on his heels. Kimin shiro Yaakov l'shimshon haba midon. Since Yaakov saw a Shimshon that came from Don, Amar, he said, Lishuasa kivisi Hashem. For your Yeshua, I'm hoping Hashem. Ein zeh maybe as a geula. He's not going to bring the geula, but you know who's going to bring the geula? Elami God. For who yogad akev? I say sheba ba'akev. The one who comes in the end. Akev means the heel, means the end. Shenemar, hine enochi shalech lachem es Eliyahu hanavi shehu mi God. In the end of days, hine enochi shalech, who am I going to send to you? Eliyahu. For who yogad akev? For who he Eliyahu yogad akev? He's going to come in the end. So we have beautiful medrash, fellas. That's Merames to what? The true identity of Eliyahu. The Eliyahu will be what from? Shevet God. A little enhancement on the Tosfos in the what? In the context of what? Of Don, the connection in Berchos Yaakov at the end of Vayechi, the connection from Don to God to Don. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful drush for who Yogud Akev. Akev at the end of the days. Now Rabbi is loving this. Who Yogud Akev at the end of the days. Akev, he's going to go ahead what? And Akev at the end, Yogud, the God, the true Mashiach will come from God. Not like our Gemara, that's simply Mamish, it says that he was from what? From Kohen. Not like Eliyahu himself says from Binyamin, it's a mitzvah to go ahead and be miyashiv, all these different things, but I think it's very geschmack. Okay, weiter. It says, it says, V'im ish anihu. It says, and if he was nish ani, leisiskav ba'avaita. Do not lie down with his ovid. Give it back to him. Mashma ha'asher shachiv. That he was an usher, you could lie down with it. Rashi says, fellas, v'chi b'shvil shu asher hitiru l'shachiv talisoi. Because he's an usher, are you permitted to lie down on his talis? Hu ribis etzloi. It's ribis. Sheyishtamesh b'mashkoin echinam. To use his mashkin for nothing. Now, we had the idea of a mashkin in the surah where it was written up X amount of time, using it up, you go out free from the loan, but go ahead, stamazoi, take a mashkin and use it. There is no heta. That's ribis. That's ramish ribis, right? It's not ribis ktsutza. It wasn't said at the time of the loan, but certainly it is abak ribis or michsek ribis, right? As we saw in Ezo Neshef. So how in the world? So it's mashma literally. If he's an ani, don't lie down with his ovet. But if you're not sure, you could lie down with his ovet, meaning you could use it. For the Gemara, how in the world could you use it? And for the Gemara, here's what we said. Right? If he's an ani, don't keep it by him. Don't keep it by yourself. You have to return it. If he's an usher, you don't have to return it, but of course you can't use it, right? If he's an usher, you don't have to return it because he doesn't need it. On the other hand, there's no way in the world you could use it. You have to go ahead and keep it by you, but not return it. Tana Rabbanan. Hamal bes chaver. We're going to have a very cryptic brisa, and we're going to have to go ahead and change the gersa. Tana Rabbanan. Hamal bes chaveroi ein rishoy lemashkenai. Someone goes ahead and gives a halva to his friend, he doesn't have rishus to go ahead and take a mashkin. L'chayra, in Bezdin you could, he himself not. Ve'ena chayav l'hachsaloi, and he's not chayav to return it to him. Now, if he can't take it, how can he not be chayav to return it to him? It seems to be counterintuitive. And then finally, V'oive b'chol hashemes halalu, and you're over on a hashef teshivei, v'leisishkavoi b'avoitoi, v'adbay hashemesh teshivenu loy. You're over the whole kit and caboodle of Lavan, right? So l'chayra, the whole makes no sense from beginning to end. A, you can't take it. B, yichai, and if you do take it, you have to return it. And C, yichai. What's going on over here? So anytime the Gemara says my kamar means whatever you said before makes no sense whatsoever. So my kamar, what exactly did you say? So Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes is going to go ahead and change the words Eino chayev loy. Eino chayev. He's going to change the words. Rav Sheshes hachi kamar. Hamal meschavero eino v'shoy lemashna. You can't take a mashkin. The im. And if you are over umishkantoi and you go, then chayev lahachsaloi. So he changed it. We said ein chayev lahachsaloi. Rav Sheshes changes the ein chayev to chayev lahachsaloi. He changes it to chayev lahachsaloi. For oiver b'bal Hashem shalalu goes on the seifa that since you're chayev on that change that I made, that you're chayev to return it. If you don't return it, then you're over on hashif teshivim and leishishka b'avaita. We open those things. That's his change. He changed the words. Einu chayev lahachser to chayev lahachser. Rabbi Abahachi Kamar. Here's the way you read the brisa. Hamal v'schaveiroi einu v'shoy lemashkanoi only bebestin. Same thing. The mishkanoi chayev lahachserloi. Same thing, right? And what you chayev to return it. The medav mamurim. Here's his change. When is this halacha that you have to return it? Shem mishkanoi shaloi b'shas alvasai. That if you gave the mashkin not at the time of the alvor. Remember yesterday's shir, guys. The lashon of Hachbal Tichbal, the lashon of Chazal is only a mashkin shaloi b'shas alva. Then you have to return it. Aval mishkanoi b'shas alva. Now here's the explanation. Eina chayev lahachsaloi. When the brisa said you're not chayev to return it, it was going on the mashkin that you gave b'shas alva. The mashkin that you gave b'shas alva eina chayev lahachsaloi. So when it said you shouldn't take a mashkin bebezdin, and then it says ve'eina chayev lahachsaloi, you don't have to return it. That's going on a mashkin that you took b'shas halva, but a mashkin that you took shaloi b'shas halva, that you will be chayiv lahachzir. And v'loy b'chol hashemes halalu reisha, it's going on the reisha that what the mashkin that shaloi b'shas halva that you chayiv to return. Tana Rav Shizvi kamei de Rava. Rav Shizvi learned this following dinner in front of Rava. It says ad boy hashemesh teshivenu loy. The pasuk says now until the shemesh Tishivenu loy, mashma, that in the morning you should return to him. What? From the morning till the evening. Guys, listen to what I just said. You should go ahead and return his pajamas from the morning till the night. He doesn't need his pajamas in the morning. He needs his pajamas at night. So look what here's the lashon says. Adba hashemesh tishivenu loy. You should go ahead until the sun sets, go ahead and return his pajamas. And now from mashma, from the evening until morning, that's speaking about Ksus Yoim. That's speaking about it. Now, obviously, the clothing he wears during the day, the suit he doesn't need at night. So it's totally counterintuitive. So Amalei, the Imam Balayla Lamali, the Laila Biyama Lamali. The nighttime clothing he doesn't need during the day, and vice versa. So the Gemara therefore says, here's Pshat. V'amalei Ismaya. So he said, so Rav Shizvi said to Rava, should I go ahead and delete this brisa? Again, remember the brises, they were corrupted. They didn't write down the Torah Shabbat Peh. So therefore, they're not as exact as Rabbi, who used all his money to bring all the Tanoim together to get the correct girsa of the Torah Shabbat Peh. The brises were not that way. So maybe this brisa, maybe there's a corruption in the lashon of the brisa because it doesn't make any sense. So Amalei, so Rabbi told Rav Shizbi loy, don't remove it, but here's pshat. Hachikam, here's pshat in the brisa. Adboya shemesh teshivenu loy, until the sun, right? Till the sun goes ahead, you should return it to him. That's kisus yoim. That's speaking about in other words, it's speaking about the clothing at night, right? At night, it's speaking about his clothing, his suit, and it's speaking about nighttime. And why is it called Ksus Laila? It's speaking about his suit. You're permitted to take it at night. So it says Abay Shemesh means at night you could take a suit. there's something that he doesn't need at night. And then Hashet Shiva Lo Yesa Ovet Kivaya Shemesh Zuksis Laila. That means that during the day you could take his pajamas. And why is it called? Why does the Brisa call it Ksus Yoim? That you have permission to take it during the day. So it's as we thought, but why is it called Ksus Laila? It's because you have permission to take it the night. Why is Ksus Yoim? You have permission to take it during the day. Rabbi Yochanan, this is Rabbi Yochanan. Mashkinoi umes. Let's say the Malvin takes the mashkin, and then the loiva dies. Now we're familiar with the halacha that you can't collect from the metalton of Yisayim. Rabbi is certainly clear with that, right? I remember that metalton biyasmi you can't collect. So what happens? The malva had the mashkin. He returned it to the loiva. While it's in the rishus of the loiva dies. Can the malva now come back and collect it from the Yisayim? Does it have a din of metalton the Yisayim, or he's kind of the mashka and it belongs to him, right? L'chari, we said he's kind of the mashkin. Well, l'chot he at tzedakah, right? It's an act of tzedakah giving back. So l'chari, he should be able to take this back. So that fears the Gemara. Can he shemta me'al gabe bonav? You could take away from the kids. You could take it. Meisvei Amr Meya v'chim me'achashem mashkinin. Once you take it as a mashkin, lama machzirin. Why are you returning it? Says the Gemara, lama machzirin. Why are you returning it? Rachmana Amar Ahada. The Torah says you have to return it. That's why I'm returning it. So once I take the mashkin, I'm returning because the Torah said I have to return it. Ella me'achashem machzirin. Once you're returning it, lama chayzin mashkin. So why do you go take it back? In other words, why are you taking it back? It says, well, I'll tell you why. I'm taking it back. That shviyat should not be mishamet alone. We know shmit is mishamet, the loan, and I'm taking it back. Amal vala mashkin. What does the Gemara say in Makis, the Brisa? The Mishnah, that amal vala mashkin shviyat is not mishamet. So that's why I'm taking it back. I'm sure to have it on my rishus. And it should not be metaltalin by his son, so they should be able to turn it. The Gemara now finishes the kasha. Taima the hadu mashkene. The reason why you could collect from the assignment is because once you gave it to them, you're able to take it back, right? Once taima the hadu mashkene, haloi hadu mashkene. If you didn't go ahead, but it's in the hands of the assignment loy. In other words, guys, I had it. The Yisayim gave it to me. I gave it back to them. It's mashma. The reason why it's not, the reason why what I could collect from them is they gave it back to me. But if it remains in their hands, then I wouldn't be able to collect. Kasha on Rabbi Yochanan, who said that what you could collect it. In other words, in the havamin of the Gemara is, even if I took it and I gave it back to them, as long as they're holding on to it, I won't be able to go ahead and return it because of the diak. The reason why shvius is not meshamet, the reason why the Yisayim, I don't have to collect from the Yisayim is because I got it back. But if I give it back to them, I can't. That's Kashan Rabbi Yochanan. On that, the Gemara answers, Ravad Mamasna, Lav Terutzi Kometartzlei. Didn't you have the Brisa was a little corrupt? You had to figure out exactly what you meant because you asked, why are you giving it back? You said the Torah gave it back. What are you talking about? So Tiritz Hachig. If once you're edit, let's make another edit. What's the edit? Once you give the mashkin back, why do you bother taking it in the first place? In other words, in the way we learned initially is you took it and you returned it and then take it back. Now we're learning why you take it in the first place. Since you're going to give it back, why are you taking it in the first place? And what's the answer? By taking it in the first place, it becomes mine. And even if I give it back and the guy loiva dies, then what? I can collect it. Initially, we thought that what if it ends up in the hands of the assignment, I can't collect it because the kasha was, why are you returning it after you took it? Now the kasha is, why are you taking it since you're going to have to return it? And the answer is, you know why I'm taking it? To create a din mashkin. Once I create a din mashkin, shvius is not mishamit. Once I created din mashkin, even if I returned it to the assignment, I will be able to collect it. Again, it's yours. You're kind of it. Says the Gemara beautifully. So the why are you taking it initially? And it should be in Mitalzin, Eitzel the children.